Creating a formula with a function for the first time can be intimidating. How many arguments does it require? What's the correct syntax? Thankfully, Excel offers a useful insert function tool that provides a framework for creating a function formula. In this video, you'll explore the insert function tool and function categories and learn how to create a function. Over at AdventureWorks, the company is busy calculating the annual sales total for each regional team. The sales data is contained in a worksheet called Sheet 1. The worksheet lists all 4 teams and their respective sales totals for each month. Let's help AdventureWorks calculate each team's total sales using the Insert function feature. Begin by positioning the cursor on cell B14. This is the cell in which your sales total must appear for Team A. Now you can access the Insert function feature. There are 2 ways to open this feature. The first is by selecting the Insert function button on the left-hand side of the Formulas ribbon. Or you can select the Insert function option on the worksheet screen to the left of the formula bar. Selecting either one of these options opens the Insert function dialog box. In the middle of this dialog box is a list of functions. You can navigate through these functions using the scroll bar. However, this is a brief list that doesn't contain all available functions. Above this list is a drop-down box with the heading Most Recently Used. To the left of this drop-down is a prompt called Or Select a Category. Because the category choice is set to Most Recently Used, the list underneath contains functions that you've recently used in your worksheet formulas. As you work through Excel, you'll most likely make frequent use of the same functions. Over time, this list will populate with your most used functions, providing a useful quick access shortcut. You can select each function in the list to display a short description of its purpose. In the bottom left of the dialog box is a blue hyperlink called Help on this function. This is a context-sensitive link. Select it to visit the help page for your selected function on the Microsoft support site. If your required function isn't on this list, then select the drop-down arrow to the right of Most Recently Used. You can select another category to open a different list of functions. For example, you need to use the Sum function to complete the calculation task for AdventureWorks. You can access the Sum function from the Math and Trigonometry category. When you select this category, the list of available functions changes. You can learn more about which functions correspond to which categories in the additional resources. Remember that you can select a function for an explanation of what it does, or you can highlight a function name in the list. Then select the blue Help hyperlink for more detail. The function list is arranged alphabetically, so scroll down to the S section, select Sum, and then select OK. This action opens another dialog box called Function Arguments. There are 2 boxes at the top of this dialog labeled Number 1 and Number 2 respectively. Notice that the text Number 1 is bolded. This indicates that an entry is required here. The text Number 2 is not bolded, which indicates that it is optional. However, you might use it in a situation where you require a total for blocks of numbers at separate locations in the spreadsheet. In the AdventureWorks sheet, Excel has identified the block of numbers directly above your cursor position. So it's suggesting that you include the cell range B2 to B13 in your total. In the background on the formula bar, Excel has already constructed the calculation for you. It has included not only the cell references, but also the equal sign, the parenthesis, and the colon. If Excel has suggested the wrong block of cells, then you can select the Navigate button to select a different range or edit the formula. The Navigate button is an arrow pointing upwards at the right of the Number 1 box. Selecting this arrow temporarily collapses the dialog box and returns you to the spreadsheet so that you can change the selection. The navigation arrow to the right of the number box is now an arrow pointing downwards. Selecting this arrow restores the full Function Arguments dialog box. Just above the blue Help link on this dialog is a formula result, which in this case is a total. You should also be aware of warning messages that could appear here. These warnings are often generated by errors that are created when working with more complex function formulas. You've now selected the required function, and you've made sure that the syntax is correct and targets the required data. Select OK to add the completed formula to the worksheet. When executed, this function formula generates a sales total of $971,000 for Team A. AdventureWorks can copy this formula across the row to generate sales totals for the other teams. Thanks to your use of the Insert Function feature, AdventureWorks now have the required sales data. And you should now be familiar with the function tool, understand its categories, and be able to make use of the tool to create a function formula.